3 days after I died, I got a call from my boss, Alex. He said if I skipped one more day, he'd dock my entire paycheck. I had no idea how a living person could call the Underworld, but I told him the truth. Boss, I'm already dead. Oh. His tone was casual. No problem. I have a few companies in the Underworld, too. Report to the office there tomorrow. And while you're at it, finish up your work from here and send it over. That damn slave driver. I cursed him out in my head, but I didn't have the guts to say no. 3 days ago, I was hit by a car on my way to work, then dragged into the Underworld by a couple of reapers. I thought I'd finally escape the endless grind, but then they told me spots for reincarnation were limited, and I should probably find a job. The more KPIs I hit, the sooner I could get reincarnated. The terrifying part was, I'd interviewed at over 20 companies. Every single one rejected me. This might be my last chance. After a moment's thought, I asked politely, boss, what's your company called? Acheron Industries. I froze. In the Underworld, 9 out of 10 ghosts had heard of that name. Why? Because the company was massive. It was a glitzy, palatial building that stood out in the otherwise bleak and miserable landscape of the Underworld. It was the dream workplace for any working ghoul. I'd admired it from a distance a few times but never dared to submit my paper-thin resume. The surprise was so sudden, I had to double-check. You mean the one at the end of Styx Crossing? The corporate giant that took up half the ghost world's real estate? Alex paused, sounding a little surprised. You know Styx Crossing? Of course. I don't just know Styx Crossing. I know Lethe Station, River Styx Boulevard, Asphodel Alley. Kate. Alex's voice was laced with hesitation. Are you really dead? I was speechless. So he thought I was just making it all up? Stay right there. With those 3 words, Alex hung up. I stared at the call log on my phone and tried calling back twice, but it wouldn't connect. I had no clue how Alex managed to call me in the first place. Is this some kind of special boss superpower for tracking down employees? I had to admit, I was impressed. But judging by his last words, was he coming to find me? This is the Underworld. How would he get here? Does he have to die too? As my mind wandered, I failed to notice a small, overloaded cart veering straight toward me. The scene was identical to the last thing I saw before I died. An out-of-control vehicle, a blank mind, legs that felt like they were filled with lead. I stood there stunned. My last thought was, when a person dies, they become a ghost. If a ghost dies, what do they become? A bizarre image of Alex's face flashed through my mind. If he really came to the Underworld and found I'd died a second time, I wonder what his expression would be. I thought about the exasperated look he gets whenever an employee makes the same mistake twice, and it was actually kind of funny. The cart was inches away, the mountain of goods on top about to crush me. I squeezed my eyes shut. Bang. With a loud crash, the cart screeched to a halt, and then steered itself smoothly back onto the main path. I opened my eyes. A very familiar back was standing in front of me. The man slowly lowered the hand that had stopped the cart, and turned to look at me. My eyes went wide with shock. Be boss. Hell has no daylight, it's always a dreary gray. But the man before me seemed to be riding on a rainbow cloud, glowing with a golden light that was almost blinding. Before I could even be moved for 2 seconds, the handsome man's thin lips parted. Kate, you've missed 28 hours of work. Your bonus for this month is gone. My heart instantly turned as cold as a stone frozen on a glacier for 100 years. I had to remind him. Boss, I've been dead for 3 days. Alex was silent for a moment. Not a valid excuse. What a soulless boss. And at first, he didn't even believe I was really dead. I put on a pained expression and launched into a dramatic complaint. Alex watched my performance quietly, his tone flat. Kate, last time you said you were gravely ill, you were vacationing in Miami for 5 workdays. The time before that, you said you broke your leg and couldn't walk, but you went on a 2-week road trip through Tibet. And the time before that. Stop. As he listed my sins of slacking off one by one, I felt my face burn with shame and quickly changed the subject. Boss, that offer to keep working for you. Is it still on the table? Fortunately, despite my long list of offenses, Alex was a man of his word. And he was gracious enough to not hold a grudge. It is. Follow me, Alex said, leading the way. I thought he was taking me to Acheron Industries, but as we walked, the road and scenery around us began to change. Everything became hazy and unreal, as if shrouded in mist. A chill ran down my spine. It felt like 1,000 hands were reaching for me from within the fog. Don't be afraid. Alex's voice was unusually gentle. He held out his hand to me. Take my hand. Under normal circumstances, I would have backed away immediately. But things were different now, and I was genuinely scared. I hesitantly placed my hand in his. His warm, dry fingers closed around mine, a comforting anchor that dispelled the coldness lingering around me. Feeling a bit braver, I asked, Boss, where are we going? The mist grew thicker, blurring Alex's silhouette. His voice was as clear and resolute as it always was during company-wide performance reviews. The office. The moment the words left his mouth, the mist vanished, and a blinding light shot toward me. I squeezed my eyes shut. A few seconds later, warm sunlight fell on my skin. I was shocked to find myself standing on the roof of our office building. A gentle breeze blew past, carrying away the last traces of gloom from the underworld. I stared in disbelief at my own shadow on the ground. I'm alive again? I'm screwed. Now I really had no good reason for skipping work for 3 days. My head was spinning with questions, and Alex could tell. He cut me off before I could speak. Work first. We'll talk about the rest after you clock out. Alex heartlessly let go of my hand. Now hurry up and catch up on the work you missed. I had no choice but to follow him downstairs and back to the office. My colleagues all greeted him as he passed. Mr. Alex. Alex gave a cool nod, then disappeared into his office, closing the door behind him. The once quiet office immediately erupted. Chloe, who sat closest to me, poked my arm. Kate, where did Mr. Alex drag you back from this time? Florida? California? Brenda, the oldest of the group, chimed in. Didn't Kate say she was going to the Maldives last time? Someone else stroked their chin. So Mr. Alex fished her out of the ocean? What were they even talking about? But if I told them Alex had pulled me out of the underworld, no one would believe me. Luckily, they didn't press for details. I gave a vague answer and started sorting through the mountain of files on my desk. Sitting in my familiar office, doing my familiar work. Those few days in the underworld started to feel like a scary dream, slowly fading away. The afternoon flew by, and the clock struck 5. Everyone packed up to leave, but I was still sitting at my desk. Chloe was curious. Kate, what's up? Usually, I'd be packed and ready to bolt the second the clock hit 5. Being this slow was definitely not my style. I glanced at a certain closed office door. I still had a lot of questions for the man inside. Chloe's face lit up with understanding. Ah, got it. Sentenced by the boss. She handed me a chocolate bar sympathetically. You got this. After everyone else had left, Alex finally came out of his office. He looked tired, his usually immaculate hair and clothes a bit disheveled. I jogged over to him. Boss, you look exhausted. It's nothing. Alex's voice was hoarse. Let's go. Alex explained that when people die, they become ghosts and are guided to the underworld by reapers. The sinful are sent to the prisons of punishment, while ordinary, innocent souls cross the bridge of forgetfulness, drink granny soup, and are then reincarnated. But in recent decades, too many people were reincarnating, and the spots were running out. The number of ghosts stranded in the underworld grew. Gradually, it developed cities and towns, much like the human world. Ghosts who wanted to be reincarnated had to work hard and earn their spot through good performance. I couldn't help but ask, what about the ones who don't want to be reincarnated? The underworld is a cold, dark place, filled with countless malicious thoughts. Ghosts who are idle for too long are influenced by it, gradually losing their minds. Those who commit crimes are sent to the prisons of punishment or reincarnated as animals. So, whether you wanted to be reincarnated or not, you had to work. Of course it's like that. It's hell, after all. What about me? I asked. What's my situation now? I am a ghost king of this realm. You have formed a pact with me and now serve me, Alex said. As long as I exist, you can remain like this forever. Doesn't that make me an eternal wage slave? I felt the world go dark around me, as if all the light had vanished. I stared blankly ahead, a soulless husk. Boss, where are we going now? To your place to pack your things. Starting today, you'll be living with me. Alex explained. All of your power now comes from me. You can't be too far away from me. Alex used some method to erase the fact of my death from the minds of everyone who knew. So when I went back to pack up and end my lease, my landlady wasn't surprised at all. She looked at Alex, then at me. Moving in with your boyfriend, huh? I quickly denied it. No, he's my boss. The landlady's expression immediately became very meaningful. I knew she was getting the wrong idea, but trying to explain would only make it worse. I just had to pack my things as fast as I could and escape her knowing gaze. Alex lived close to the company in a well-known luxury apartment complex. He generously gave me a room that was 5 times the size of my tiny, run-down rental. As tears of happiness streamed down my face, I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. How come we're both ghosts, but he's a wealthy tycoon and I'm still a poor working ghoul? I was sinking into the soft leather sofa, lost in bliss. Knock, knock. The door. Alex's bedroom door was open, and I could hear the shower running. I thought for a moment, then went to open the door. The man who came in smiled at me. Oh, it's you. His face was familiar. He'd been here to see Alex a few times. I remembered Alex calling him Leo. Mr. Tang, please come in. It seemed Leo also remembered that I was Alex's employee. After work hours, an employee in the boss's home while the boss is showering. The situation looked suspicious from any angle. I quickly made an excuse. The boss is in his room handling some work. Please wait a moment, I'll go get him. Leo's charming eyes were full of amusement, and he mercilessly called my bluff. That guy Alex never brings work home. And you don't have to be so nervous. I know about you. He gave me a meaningful look. How does it feel to be back from that place? That place? I was stunned. Had Leo already figured out who or what I was? I bet Alex hasn't told you how to get your power, has he? He leaned in close to me, his eyes curving into a smile, and whispered a few words. My eyes widened, and I stumbled back. Are you serious? Of course. Leo's tone shifted. Compared to what he did for you today, what are you doing here? A cold voice interrupted Leo from behind me. Alex had already dressed and come out, only the tips of his hair still damp. His eyes narrowed in displeasure, a silent warning in his gaze. Leo held up his hands. Just came to see how you were doing. Alex showed him the door without a second thought. I'm fine. You can go. Leo wasn't offended. He just smiled and turned to leave. Don't mind him, Alex said to me. There's something else. The way you need to acquire power is a bit special. Alex, who was always so decisive, was hesitating for a rare moment. I remembered what Leo had just said. Could it be true? If so, I might as well take the initiative. I clenched my fists and cleared my throat. I know. A flicker of surprise crossed Alex's eyes. You know? I nodded firmly. Boss, can you close your eyes? Alex seemed a bit confused, but he did as I asked and closed his eyes. You have to kiss him. Leo's words echoed in my mind. Looking at his handsome face and his crimson lips, my own face grew hot. Whatever. I took a deep breath, leaned in, and gently pressed my lips against his. Alex's body went rigid in an instant, and his eyes flew open, a golden glint flashing in his pupils before disappearing. After 2 or 3 seconds, I quickly pulled away. Alex's brow was furrowed in a daze, his voice low and raspy. You. Leo told me this is how I get my power, I explained quickly. Alex's gaze was heavy, and he didn't speak. My heart fluttered nervously. Boss, is something wrong? Did Leo lie to me? Does that mean I just seriously overstepped with my boss? It's nothing. Alex lowered his gaze, his lips pressing together unconsciously as if savoring something. Get some rest. Alex was an early riser. To catch a ride with him, I got to the office at an unprecedentedly early hour. The huge office was quiet and empty. I was about to dive into my soft chair for a nap. But my boss, cold and heartless, issued a command. Come to my office and sort some files. Okay, I mumbled, trudging after him with my head down. Before, when I didn't know Alex's true identity, I just did miscellaneous tasks for what I thought was a normal distribution company. Now I knew that while Alex ran a company in the human world, His main business was all about the realms of the living and the dead. Besides handling reincarnation logistics, his services included ghost hunting, exorcisms, and even selling talismans. I stared at a ghost-repelling talisman priced at $8,888, which read "Satisfaction Guaranteed," effectively repels ghosts. My feelings were complicated. Boss, is this really something a ghost king should be doing? Is it? Alex's voice was low and pointed. Then you tell me, how am I supposed to pay the salary of a certain employee who works one day and takes off the next 3? Feeling the sting of his jab, I quickly changed my tune. This business is brilliant. You're a genius, boss. A true visionary. Only then did Alex look away. Get back to work. I'd been working here for a while, so even though the mundane-looking orders were actually supernatural cases, I handled them with relative ease. As I placed the last stack of reincarnation applications on Alex's desk, I heard noises from outside. The other colleagues must be arriving. Ugh, my arm is so sore. Gotta detach it for a minute and give it a good rub before Kate gets here, came Chloe's voice. Brenda's voice followed. Me too. I was up all night binge watching a show, my eyes are killing me. I need to pop them out and soak them in some eye drops. The others joined in, one complaining about cooling down their tongue, another about emergency hair care. I usually arrived right on time, so this was the first I'd heard of my colleagues' elaborate morning rituals. And why did they have to do it when I wasn't around? A mischievous idea popped into my head. I decided to catch them off guard and yanked open the office door. It happened so fast that Alex didn't even have time to stop me. As the door swung open with a thud, everyone turned to look, and I finally saw the full picture of the office. Chloe, who always poked me with her finger, had her arm lying on her desk while her other hand was pounding it at the speed of a professional meatball maker. Brenda, who was always smiling with her eyes crinkled, had empty sockets where her eyes should be, while 2 bright red eyeballs bobbed in a glass of water in her hand. There was hair cascading across the office like a waterfall, a tongue so long it nearly touched the ceiling. I stood frozen, my mind even blanker than when I was hit by the car. Alex reacted instantly, stepping in front of me and blocking the completely inhuman scene. Your Highness. I heard their voices tremble as they switched to a different title. Even with Alex's broad back between us, I could imagine their pale, terrified faces. Your Highness, we didn't know, we didn't mean to. Clean this up, Alex commanded, not scolding them. He turned to me and closed the door. He rubbed his forehead, looking like he had a headache. I forgot to tell you beforehand. Alex's status was unique, and the business he handled was sensitive, so all his direct employees were from the Underworld. Even if he needed to hire a living person, he would prioritize someone from a family with a lineage of dealing with gods and ghosts. In other words, I was the exception. And because humans and ghosts are different, they were forbidden from showing their ghostly forms in front of me. But Kate, since you're a ghost now, could you ask the boss if we can occasionally use our ghost forms to work? Chloe begged me with her hands clasped together. It's so tiring having to get up every time I need to pour water. I pictured a disembodied hand flying around the office serving tea, and a shiver ran down my spine. But then I imagined a fresh cup of milk tea appearing in front of me without me having to move an inch, and I shamelessly gave in. Okay. No. Alex's opposition to this was surprisingly firm. Why not? I could understand his reservations when I was human, but now that I was a ghost, what was there to hide? Alex's gaze rested on my face for a couple of seconds. Kate, you're different. How am I different? I asked. But Alex didn't give me an answer. He looked at me, seeming to want to say more, but in the end he just said, resignedly, Kate, just listen to me. Okay. Alex clearly didn't want to elaborate, and I knew he wouldn't harm me, so I didn't press him. Fortunately, my colleagues hadn't really expected me to get Alex to bend the rules. They even comforted me, saying His Highness has always been like this. His rules never change. Since his identity had been blurted out in a moment of panic, they no longer called him boss in private. Instead, they used the title from the Underworld, calling him Your Highness. It was only then that Alex's identity as a ghost king started to feel real to me. During my downtime, I couldn't help but ask the others about him. Most of the stories were about his impartiality and ruthless efficiency in dealing with evil ghosts and beasts. He was known to be cold and unfeeling, even towards seductive spirits, and had never taken a partner. "We have a betting pool on when His Highness will finally get a girlfriend," Chloe whispered. "I heard the longest bet is for 3,000 years from now." I pictured Alex's face, as cold and chiseled as a jade statue, and deeply related. You could easily add another 3,000 years to that. In the evening, Alex dropped me off at home, then got back in the car. "I have to go on a business trip. I'll be gone for a couple of days. You stay put. Don't go wandering off." In the past, the news of my boss leaving on a business trip would have been cause for celebration, complete with fireworks. But things were different now. My life was literally in Alex's hands. Besides, he hadn't given me my power for the day. I gently tugged on his sleeve and squeezed out a sycophantic smile. "Boss." Alex glanced down at the small wrinkle I'd made in his custom-tailored suit, unmoved. "What is it?" Beggars can't be choosers, so I had to be proactive. I ducked into the car with him, getting close and giving him a subtle hint. "Boss, you haven't given me my power for today yet." Alex's expression cracked for a split second. The thought of what giving power entailed brought a rare pinkish hue to his pale face. Seeing him hesitate, I started to get anxious. "Boss, you're not going to back out, are you?" Was he having second thoughts about saving me, about giving me power? "No," Alex said flatly. "I'll help myself," I whispered, tentatively leaning in. Alex didn't show any signs of disgust or resistance, so I confidently pressed my lips against his, just like yesterday. Since Alex said he'd be gone for 2 days, I decided to take a little extra. Yesterday had been rushed and awkward, and I hadn't had a chance to really feel it. But today, a comforting sense of fullness radiated from his lips. It was like tasting the most delicious thing in the world. So good. I closed my eyes in satisfaction, instinctively seeking more. Alex gasped, leaning back slightly. A voice in my head screamed at me not to let go so easily. I grabbed his shoulders and simply fell back with him. A wave of heat washed over me, and my reason drowned completely. I just knew I wanted more. I mumbled my craving more. Alex's hand, which had been resting at his side, clenched into a fist. He held on for 2 seconds before his long fingers landed on the back of my neck. After a slight sting, my body went limp, and I collapsed on top of him unconscious. I slept for a long time. The burning sensation was completely gone, and all my memories came flooding back. The details of me shamelessly manhandling Alex played on a loop in my head. I'm so screwed. Does forcibly kissing your boss get you fired? Is it too late to go to the Underworld and buy a steaming hot bowl of Granny Meng's soup of forgetfulness? Right now, I was incredibly grateful Alex was on a business trip. Otherwise, I would have no idea how to face him. With Alex gone, the office was much more lively. I had gradually gotten used to the sight of my colleagues' disembodied hands, eyes, and other organs flying around. A few mouths detached themselves from their faces, gathered together, and started gossiping. "Chloe, did you hear? His Highness has a few marks on his neck." Brenda's lips curled into a smile. "Oh, you're all still so young. Those aren't marks. The number of people in this world who could actually injure His Highness can be counted on 2 hands. She lowered her voice mysteriously. "If you ask me, they look more like hickeys. The old tree is finally blooming. He must have spent a passionate night with someone." I sprayed a mouthful of hot tea, choking and coughing. Chloe quickly sent a hand over to pat my back. "Are you okay?" I shook my head weakly. "I'm fine." "Hey," she asked casually, "do you know what happened to the boss's neck?" Thinking about the bites I'd left on Alex's neck yesterday, a wave of guilt washed over me. No idea. Maybe he scratched it himself. The discussion about Alex's injuries eventually died down. Brenda's phone rang. The person on the other end said there was a bit of a mess with a special batch of reincarnation applications, and they needed to borrow a couple of employees. Usually this kind of thing wouldn't involve me, but now that I was a ghost, Brenda waved a hand. "Kate, want to go see the world?" Honestly, not really, but everyone else was busy, and there was no one to spare. So I was roped in, following Brenda into the Underworld passage. The passage was created by Alex himself, connecting the realms of the living and the dead. It was the only way for ordinary ghosts to travel between them. You just died recently, so the boss probably hasn't had time to issue you an Underworld employee ID card yet, Brenda said. With the card, you can come and go as you please. She expertly led me into a large hall, which was crammed with all sorts of ghosts. Unlike the other ghosts I'd seen, these ones were emanating a noticeable black aura. These are all vicious ghosts who committed terrible crimes. After death, they have to undergo various punishments to atone for their sins before they can enter the cycle of reincarnation. But the application review period is limited each year, and sometimes we have to explain to them why they don't qualify. The staff down here often get overwhelmed, so we come down to lend a hand sometimes, Brenda explained as we walked toward the most chaotic area. There, a green-faced, tusked ghost was waving a pair of axes. I've been slaving away in the mines for 100 years. It's my turn to be reincarnated. Put my name on the list now. He threatened. I'm telling you, even Alex has to respect me. Today, even if he came here himself. The ghost didn't finish his sentence. As if sensing something, he retracted his axes and rushed toward us. He slid to a stop, prostrating himself at my feet and clinging to my leg. Your Majesty, the Ghost King, please see reason. This humble servant has been mining diligently for all these years, never slacking off. I really want to be reincarnated. Brenda and I looked at each other, confused. This ghost was a quick change artist. But no matter how bad his eyesight was, he shouldn't have mistaken me for Alex. The ghost wailed at my leg for a few moments, then suddenly seemed to realize something and let go. You're not Alex? He squinted, looking me up and down. What's your relationship with Alex? The aura around him turned cold and vicious, as if he was plotting something. I felt a strange sense of unease. Just as I was about to step back, a powerful gust of wind swept past me. In the blink of an eye, I was whisked hundreds of feet away. The ghost had me by the throat, a cunning smile on his face. He shouted to the still unresponsive crowd, "Put my name on the list now, or else." He tightened his grip. A bone-chilling cold filled my throat, bringing with it a suffocating, burning sensation. The ghost slowly finished his sentence. Your Ghost King's wife is going to die at my hands. I was so shocked I almost forgot the pain. The other ghosts were in an uproar. You're reeking of Alex's aura. These uncultivated little ghosts can't tell, the ghost said smugly. But you can't fool my eyes. He said it with such conviction that if I wasn't the ghost in question, I would have believed him. But the others were bluffed into submission, too afraid to move. Just as we were at a standstill, a chilling, powerful presence descended upon us. In an instant, the ghost holding me was pierced through the chest. The hand gripping my throat disintegrated into ash, and my body fell limply. I didn't hit the ground. Instead, I landed in a cold but reliable embrace. I caught the familiar scent of incense on his clothes. The terror of my second near-death experience finally washed over me, and a cold sweat broke out on my back. That chilling aura seemed to have seeped into my very bones. I couldn't stop shivering. I frowned in pain, my hands instinctively clutching Alex's clothes, as if that could somehow counteract the coldness coursing through me. Alex held me, his already stoic expression turning even colder. He shot a frigid glare at the trembling ghost and ordered the others, "Send him to Xiaoyao Mountain." Without paying any attention to the ghost screaming pleas for mercy, he carried me away. Even back in the human world, basking in the sun, the chill in my body wouldn't dissipate. I curled up in Alex's arms, mumbling cold. He looked down at me for a few seconds, then suddenly lifted my chin and leaned down, pressing his lips firmly against mine. This was the first time Alex had initiated giving me power. But it was completely different from the brief touches before, or my one-sided taking. The rush of Alex's aura and power was overwhelming, almost too much for me to handle. Alex cupped the back of my head as I tilted back, and an unknown force restrained my hands as I tried to push him away. All I knew was that Alex and I were very close. So close it felt like our souls were about to merge. After a long moment, Alex finally pulled away. He wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and the moisture from my lips. His voice was as steady and detached as ever. Better? I was warm and comfortable, baked by the power. I even felt a little drowsy. I nodded lazily. I'm sorry, boss. I remembered his warning not to wander off, and felt a little guilty. Did I cause trouble? It has nothing to do with you, Alex said. Don't overthink it. So, what that ghost said today. The bite marks on Alex's neck were already enough to get the other ghosts' imaginations running wild. And today, that ghost had publicly spread rumors about me and Alex. Plus, with Alex carrying me away, I was sure there'd be a whole new set of stories waiting for me at the office tomorrow morning. I've already erased their memories, Alex said calmly. No one will mention this again. Oh, I mumbled a reply. This was Alex's usual, thorough way of doing things, but for some reason, I didn't feel relieved or happy about it. I couldn't explain what was going on, but even though my body had recovered, I stayed put in Alex's arms. He, for once, didn't push me away, letting me use him as a recliner instead of sleeping on a bed. When I got to the office the next morning, everyone expressed their sympathy for me getting kidnapped yesterday. But no one mentioned what the ghost had said about my relationship with Alex. It seemed Alex really had erased the memories of every ghost who was there. Brenda patted my shoulder apologetically. Kate, I'm sorry. It was my fault yesterday. It's okay, Brenda, I said, using the same words Alex had used to comfort me. It wasn't your fault. That ghost was just twisted. She nodded in agreement. Yeah. I just can't believe that after His Highness awoke, there are still ghosts bold enough to cause trouble publicly in the underworld. Awoke. I caught the word she used, and was about to ask more when the rhythmic click-clack of high heels sounded at the door. A sophisticated and stunningly beautiful woman walked in. She smiled at everyone, then confidently pushed open the door to Alex's office and went inside. I noticed the employee ID card hanging around her neck, identical to the one Brenda used yesterday. Is she one of our employees too? Her. Brenda shook her head slightly. Not exactly. She's different from us. She used to be a powerful, vicious ghost. Most importantly, she leaned in and whispered, she didn't sign a contract with the Underworld. She made a pact directly with His Highness. A pact with Alex? She's often away, working for His Highness. Sometimes she comes back to borrow power from him, Brenda said. The last few times she came, you happened to be on vacation. Is that so? I stared at the office door, which let out no light or sound, feeling a bit dazed. Perhaps because I'd never seen anyone close to Alex, it had never occurred to me that he would have a pact with someone else. I spent the entire day spacing out at my desk, completely oblivious even when everyone started packing up and leaving. Alex came out of his office and saw me still sitting there like a zombie. He walked over. What's wrong? I looked up at Alex. I wanted to ask him if he gave power to that ghost the same way he gave it to me, but I didn't know what right I had to ask. Alex was a ghost king. If he could form a pact with me, he could certainly form pacts with other ghosts. When I didn't answer, Alex leaned down, bracing his arms on my desk and chair, and met my gaze. What happened? I avoided his eyes and changed the subject. Boss, when can I get one of those employee cards for the Underworld? Alex's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly. What do you need that for? If there's work to be done, I can help out. Not necessary, Alex said. I don't need you for that. If he had said that before, I would have happily taken it as an excuse to slack off for 3 days. But now, a sharp bitterness welled up inside me, mixed with a hint of resentment. Watching his back as he walked away, I couldn't stop myself from calling out. Is it because I'm too weak? The elevator arrived with a ding. Alex turned back, as if he hadn't heard me clearly. What? But I didn't have the courage to repeat myself. I bit my lip. Nothing. Alex had been busy lately, always on business trips. Sometimes he'd suddenly return before I was even awake in the morning, or after I'd already gone to sleep at night, just to force a huge amount of power into me. He would only stop when I could barely take any more. After feeding me, he would disappear just as quickly. He was just like a deadbeat dad, I grumbled, rubbing my sore mouth. In contrast to my complaints, the atmosphere in the office was more relaxed than ever. With Alex neither at home nor at the office, everyone freely used their ghost forms. Since some of their forms were too unappetizing, I started taking my lunch into Alex's office to eat. Alex was surprisingly tolerant of my when the cat's away. The mice will play behavior. I pushed my luck and sent him a message. Boss, I'm so sleepy. You're not using the bed in the break room. Can I borrow it for a nap? Suit yourself. Alex's reply was quick and, as always, concise. That afternoon, I was sitting at Alex's desk, watching a show on his computer while I ate, when the door opened. It wasn't Alex who came in but Leo. Mr. Tang. I assumed Alex had sent him. Is there something I can help you with? Nothing much. Just came to ask for a little help, Leo said with a smile. You look like you're in good spirits. Interested in coming along? I remembered Alex's warning not to wander off, and my mind flashed to the female ghost who had been in his office the other day. I ended up agreeing. Sure. To my surprise, the help Leo needed wasn't in the underworld. It was on a mountain. This is Mountain, Leo explained. There's a mountain god here with many beasts under his command. The underworld's bureaucracy has become so complicated, and heaven is always watching. So sometimes, to save some effort, we send the incorrigible ones here to be devoured by the beasts. So this was a ghost disposal site that bypassed heaven's jurisdiction. No wonder that ghosts had been screaming for mercy. So what can I do? The mountain god and his beasts sounded incredibly powerful. I couldn't figure out what they would need me for. A few days ago, the underworld angered the mountain god. The batch of ghosts we sent to mountain was left unattended, and they've scattered all over. We need to catch them. You have Alex's power in you, Leo said. He just never told you how to use it. Let me teach you, and catching them will be a piece of cake. Leo taught me a mantra to help me channel the power. The dormant energy inside me really did start to flow, moving as I willed it. Catching ghosts became a breeze. I wondered what Alex's expression would be when he found out. A little thrill went through me. Leave it to me. Mountain was huge, and the ghosts had many places to hide. Even though I could catch them, finding them was exhausting. The afternoon flew by. As dusk fell, I was so tired I collapsed on the ground. If only Alex were here, I thought, completely drained. A little kiss, borrowing a little power from him, and I'd be back on my feet in no time. Speak of the devil. Just as I thought of him, a familiar, tall, dark figure appeared in the distance, walking toward me. He got closer, his face softening in the twilight. He stood in front of me and held out his hand. Get up. Boss, what are you doing here? I asked, surprised. Weren't you busy? Leo sent me a message saying you were here catching ghosts. As he spoke, his eyes drifted to my waist. I quickly covered the empty spirit trapping pouch at my side, embarrassed. The ghosts are a little hard to find. It's not your fault. The mountain god was deliberately making things difficult. Alex looked away. A couple of days ago, an intern reaper from the underworld mistakenly took the soul of his wife, injuring her. I happened to be away and couldn't get back in time. The mountain god was furious and wanted to retaliate. Oh. I nodded, vaguely understanding. So why me? The mountain god's wife was injured, so he decided to make things difficult for me. Could it be? Perhaps because you live with me, he got the wrong idea, Alex said, looking away. I've already cleared things up with him. He won't bother you anymore, and the situation on Jiao Mountain has been resolved. Oh. Alex handed me a document. This is for you. What is it? An employment contract, Alex said coolly. Didn't I already sign one? I found a new job for you in the next city. The salary and benefits are the same as before. You can start right away. Alex continued, your resignation has been processed. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come to the office. His voice was as flat as water, but the words hit me like a thunderclap. My mind went blank. I thought I must have misheard. Why? The thin sheets of paper crumpled in my hand. I looked up at him. Did I cause you too much trouble? I thought of the female ghost from the other day, and my fingers touched the empty pouch. Or, am I really too weak? Alex's brow furrowed slightly. No. Then what is it? I clenched my fists, trying to hold on to my composure with the slight sting of my nails digging into my palm. I won't wander off again. I'll be a good employee. Alex noticed my gesture and raised his hand as if to do something, but then he let it drop. He turned his back to me. A small, white porcelain bottle materialized in the air in front of me. I've condensed the power you'll need for a while into these pills. Take one a day. In 23 days, You won't need my power anymore, and our pact will be dissolved. Alex's voice was cold and distant. After that, you can go back to your old life and live a normal, peaceful existence. Is that so? The white porcelain bottle floated into my hand. The cool jade sent a chill through my fingertips to the rest of my body, just like the unmelting frost that always clung to Alex. I looked at the back of the man who never once turned around and forced a smile. Alex, you're a liar too. The first day I met Alex, I had just carried 2 boxes of instant ramen back to my dingy apartment. He was standing by the trash cans of the old building, wearing a strange outfit. He didn't seem to care about the filth or the flies as he reached for a dirty takeout container. Hey! I shouted. Alex stopped and turned to look at me. I used my keys to slice open a box of ramen and tossed him 2 cups. Here. Alex took the ramen, a confused look on his face. That's all you're getting, I said. The construction site down the road is hiring. After you eat, if you've got the energy, go move some bricks. Then I walked away. I didn't expect to see him again the next day. He was holding the 2 cups of ramen I'd given him in his left hand, while his right hand was diligently rummaging through the trash. I was speechless. Well, to each their own, I guess. Alex didn't just rummage through the trash cans downstairs from my building, he went through every single one within a few blocks. He even made the uncles and aunties who loved to collect scraps and claim territory very wary of him. Later, when they saw he was just looking and not taking anything, they let their guard down. They all whispered that he was handsome, but there was something wrong with his head. The moment I agreed with them the most was when I saw Alex digging through a trash can in the pouring rain. He was clutching something to his chest under his clothes, a corner of the packaging peeking out. It was the ramen I'd given him. I sighed and walked over, tilting my umbrella toward him. Meeting Alex's questioning gaze, I gestured with my chin. Want to come upstairs and get out of the rain? Alex didn't refuse. He really did seem to have a few screws loose. I had to show him how to use the shower, step by step, and then I gave him an extra large pajama set I'd bought online by mistake and was too lazy to return. It was a bit tight, but it would have to do. I averted my eyes from the way the stretchy pajamas clung to his bulging muscles and pushed a bowl of cooked ramen toward him. All right, eat up. Alex didn't hesitate and quickly finished the bowl. The rain kept pouring. I pointed to the couch, which was generously sized. You can sleep there. My tiny apartment was bare. My only real possession was my phone. At night, I locked my bedroom door and went to sleep, not bothering with Alex. The next morning when I opened my door, all the things I'd left scattered around the living room were neatly organized. The floor was so shiny I could see my own reflection. For a second, I thought I'd been teleported to a completely different place. Alex was back in his own clothes, sitting on the sofa. He nodded at me and said the first word I'd heard him speak in days. Morning. Morning. Breakfast was ramen again. As I watched Alex eat with refined manners, I blurted out, if you have nowhere to go, you can stay here. The words were out before I could stop them. I immediately regretted it. I could barely support myself. How could I take on another person? But looking at Alex's impossibly handsome face and the cleanest my apartment had ever been, I couldn't bring myself to take it back. So be it. At least I'd have some company. Alex couldn't kick his habit of rummaging through trash cans, but he always washed up every day. I'd asked him out of curiosity what he was looking for, and he'd given a brief reply. Something. I went to work during the day, and Alex went through the trash. When I came home at night, a hot meal would already be on the table. Looking at Alex, his sharp features softened by the steam rising from the food, I suddenly thought that this kind of life wasn't so bad. But those days lasted less than 3 months. One day, Alex came back covered in blood, the smell thick in the air. I was terrified. Did you kill someone? No. Alex's face, usually as still and lifeless as a corpse's, showed a flicker of emotion. My business here is finished, he said. If you have a wish, I can grant it for you. My initial shock turned to a sudden chill. You're leaving? Yes. Alex repeated. I can grant you one wish. I didn't have any wishes. I turned away, shrugging casually. All we normal people want is a job with high pay, little work, and good security. Done. Alex agreed instantly. At the time, I didn't take his words seriously. Too many people had left my life with promises they never kept. They never came back, so how could they be expected to deliver? Until Alex appeared before me again. I felt like I was living in a dream. But the reunited Alex was distant and avoided any work that would bring him into contact with me. For a while I thought he didn't like me. After we formed the pact, Alex and I had grown closer. But that closeness was as fleeting as a night blooming Sirius. Liar. I opened my eyes, pulling myself out of the murky memories. The room was dark. My vision was blurred by tears, but I could vaguely make out a familiar figure sitting by my bed. When I tried to focus, the shadow vanished in an instant. Only a faint, cold touch lingered on my fingers. I turned on the light. Two faint, almost invisible wisps of black smoke were swirling around my palm. I suddenly realized something and rushed to the window. Under the moonlight, there was nothing. It was as if someone had been there, but it was just a figment of my imagination. I turned back disappointed. With a crack, the overhead light fixture suddenly went out and fell, narrowly missing my shoulder and shattering on the floor. At the same time, the black smoke in my palm dissipated. Frustrated and angry, I turned down the job Alex had offered me and decided to find one myself. Just after an interview, as I was leaving the building, a man dressed like a Taoist priest stopped me. "Hello, could I have a word with you?" I clutched my wallet. "I don't want my fortune told." He smiled. "I'm not a fortune teller. I have a favor to ask you." The priest pulled out a business card and a certificate. I glanced at them. They looked legitimate. "What kind of favor?" The priest thought for a moment. "Your constitution is extremely special, neither yin nor yang. And from the look of your face, I'd say you just survived a close call last night." The image of the shattered light fixture flashed in my mind. I took a step back, wary. The priest didn't seem to mind and showed me a video. A little girl on a ventilator, her face as pale as paper, was hovering on the brink of death, surrounded by black smoke. It was exactly like the smoke I'd seen on my hand last night. The priest explained that the girl had nearly drowned on a trip to the countryside. While her soul was unstable, a vicious ghost had possessed her. Her body was too weak, and the ghost was too strong. Forcibly exorcising it would only make things worse. But if they let it continue, she would be dead within 3 hours. My skills with using a proxy doll to lure out a ghost are not refined, and my master, who is an expert in this, can't get back in time. The priest continued, "But your constitution is even more alluring to ghosts than the child's. I can transfer it to you, and when my master returns tomorrow he will remove it." After some hesitation, I agreed. The priest immediately took me to the girl's home, where her family had already prepared everything as instructed. I sat in the middle of a ritual circle with my eyes closed while the priest chanted and burned incense. Within 10 minutes, a chill shot up my spine and settled in. The priest stopped. "It's done." The girl's face was still pale, but color was slowly returning to her cheeks. After saying goodbye to the girl's grateful parents, the priest asked me to follow him back to the temple where he was staying. The temple has protective artifacts that can keep it subdued for a while. The priest looked at me, his expression grave. "Your constitution. It's a bit too yin." "Of course it is, I've already died once." But I would never say that to him. The priest set me up in a courtyard near the main hall. "I'm in the room next door. If you need anything, just shout." I nodded wearily. For some reason, ever since the ghost possessed me, I'd felt incredibly drowsy. I felt a bit better after entering the temple, but my consciousness was still heavy. I lay down on the bed and immediately fell asleep. In my dream, the world was pitch black, with only a pale, long-haired ghost that lunged at me, as if to devour me. But it was held back by something, unable to act. I felt my consciousness sinking, my body as cold as ice, as if I were drowning, on the verge of suffocation. Crash! The priest burst in with a peachwood sword. "You vile ghost, how dare you harm her? My master has already summoned help. You will be captured." He threw a few yellow talismans, but they were useless. They burned up with a puff of green smoke, and the ghost only grew more ferocious. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. When the wind blew from outside, I shivered uncontrollably. Just as the priest was at his wit's end, a dark figure walked in from outside. The priest was about to rejoice, but then he caught the figure's aura and his face changed drastically. You're a ghost? Stay away. Before he could finish, he was swatted aside. A cold voice, filled with authority, boomed, "Get out." But to me, that voice was incredibly familiar. "Alex." I murmured, but no sound came out. "I'm here." As if he knew I was calling him, Alex knelt by my bed and took my hand. "Don't be afraid." A gentle power enveloped me. The vicious ghost shrieked as it was torn from my body. Before it could get far, Alex seized it and crushed it to dust. The piercing echo of its scream lingered in the air. I flinched, and Alex held me more gently. "It's okay now." He had saved me again. I pulled away from Alex's embrace. "Thank you." He stared at his suddenly empty arms, slightly stunned. "You're welcome." The small room fell silent. Neither of us spoke. After what felt like an eternity, Alex broke the silence. "Do you want to come back with me?" This time, it was my turn to be stunned. I didn't know why he had changed his mind, but I wasn't someone he could just summon and dismiss at will. I turned my back to him with all the dignity I could muster. No. But my no was completely useless. With a flick of his wrist, Alex moved me from the temple's shabby wooden bed to his custom-made European one. Seeing that I didn't want to talk to him, Alex closed the door and left. "Call me if you need anything." The next day, I woke up and Alex wasn't home. In the living room, Leo was yawning over a cup of coffee and waved at me. "Morning. Alex went to heaven. He asked me to look after you." Alex's relationship with heaven wasn't exactly friendly. I grew nervous. "Last night's incident. Was it a big deal?" Leo opened his mouth. "No." His eyes darted around. "It's not a small matter. The folks in heaven were already wary of him. 1,000 years ago, they sealed him on Chang'ai Mountain. Ever since Alex awoke, they've been sending people to monitor him constantly. Alex defied heaven to bring you back to life once. This time, he killed a ghost without authorization. I'm afraid they're going to interrogate and punish him for sure." I grew even more anxious. "Is there any way to help him?" "It'll be difficult." Leo shook his head slowly, then looked at my worried face and offered some comfort. "But Alex is no pushover. He won't let them bully him. Speaking of which, I have a confession to make. When I told you that you needed to kiss him to get power, I was just messing with you." Leo said, "I'm sure Alex has already explained it to you, but I still have to apologize." "What? Leo had been lying to me?" He tilted his head, studying me. "He didn't tell you?" He did," I stammered, trying to cover it up. "I mean, there are so many ways to borrow power." Leo agreed. "True. As long as there's contact, it works." "As long as there's contact?" Then did Alex use a normal form of contact with the other ghost he had a pact with? My mind started to wander, and I quickly shut it down. Right now, the most important thing was whether Alex would come back safely. I waited on pins and needles all day. As night fell, I finally heard a noise at the front door. I rushed to greet him. "Alex, are you okay? Did they give you a hard time? Did they punish you?" Alex looked at my barrage of questions and quickly pinpointed the culprit on the sofa. Unfortunately, the ever-perceptive Leo had already flown out the window. Alex patiently explained to me, "I'm fine. They didn't give me a hard time, and they didn't punish me." "Really?" Leo had said that the mountain god who let his beasts devour ghosts had to go to heavenly jail every so often. How could Alex, who had personally killed a ghost, escape punishment? Yes. Alex said Leo liked to lie and that I shouldn't believe him. He really does like to lie. I strongly agreed. Like how borrowing power doesn't actually require kissing. He tricked me. Alex, who had been walking steadily, stumbled for a second. He quickly regained his composure. "Yes. Then what about you?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Why didn't you deny it?" Alex's dark, cold eyes met mine. After a moment, his lips parted. "Because I was being selfish." As the words fell, a rare light pink spread across his pale earlobes. My own face couldn't help but flush, and all the witty retorts I had prepared suddenly felt too embarrassing to say. "Oh," I asked, "then why did you still want me to leave?" Alex was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, "Do you know how long 100 years is?" I didn't understand what he meant. A lifetime? What about 1,000 years? Alex said, time is constant for me. But what if one day you grow tired of it? Love and hate fade easily. Over the years, who can guarantee that their feelings won't change? So Alex wanted me to return to a normal life, to enter the cycle of reincarnation after 100 years, just like countless ordinary people, living completely different lives, one after another. I just want to be with you. I hugged him. Things change, but if your heart doesn't change, mine won't either. Alex, don't push me away. I don't want to be abandoned again, okay? Time stood still. It felt like an eternity, and also just a moment. A cool, strong hand wrapped around my back, and a voice tinged with resignation and indulgence sounded from above my head. Okay. I resigned and rehired myself from the company in record time. Brenda and the others still had no idea I had even left, thinking I had snuck off on another vacation behind Alex's back. They all shed tears of envy. I certainly didn't disappoint them. I booked a flight to the Maldives that same day. Just as I landed, a hand rested on the back of my neck. Alex wrapped his arm around me. Didn't you say you wouldn't wander off, that you'd be a good employee? Things were different now. I was completely spoiled. Oh, and what are you going to do about it? Fire me? Alex was speechless. Alex dutifully accompanied me to the hotel, and then to the beach. The Great Ghost King was lying next to me sunbathing. I found it amusing. I thought ghosts were afraid of the sun. Aren't you? Ordinary little ghosts might be, Alex said. But it can't hurt me. Oh. A few environmentalists were walking along the beach with bags and tongs, picking up trash. I poked Alex. You never told me. What were you looking for in the trash back then? A toe tie. Alex caught my fidgeting fingers. When I awoke, I accidentally disturbed the chains that sealed it. It escaped into the human world, and I was tracking it. So that was the reason? No wonder Alex was reluctant to tell me. Then again, even if he had told me, the me from back then probably wouldn't have believed him. I would have just thought he was completely insane. Since we were on the topic of the past, I decided to keep asking. And when you came back, why were you always so cold to me? Wherever I was, Alex would try to keep his distance. My ghostly power had fully recovered by then. Being close to you would have affected you. Guilt flickered in Alex's eyes. What happened to you later? That was also because of me. Alex waved his hand, and a screen of water appeared in the air, showing a scene from the office. I had been forced to work overtime again because I'd skipped work. But I fell asleep after a few minutes, sprawled out on my chair. The thin blanket had slipped to the floor. Alex walked over and tucked the blanket around me, his fingertips lingering on a strand of my hair. A faint, almost transparent wisp of black smoke was left behind, exactly like the one I had seen on my palm that night. That was my reluctance to leave. Manifested as ghostly energy, Alex said. It was what made fate mistake you for someone on the verge of death, which led to the accident. I'm sorry. It's okay. The pain of that time was brief and had long been forgotten in a corner of my memory. I laced my fingers with Alex's. Besides, when I was human, I had no one. Being a ghost, I actually have company. It's pretty good. Alex stroked my hair, his touch both tender and solemn. In the 1,000 years to come, I will always be with you. Good. I kissed the corner of his lips. Sealed with a kiss. The end.